welcome to At the Disney Movies with the Hearts.
I'm Kelly.
I'm David.
And this week, now it's time for the main event with The Rock. But it's not really The Rock, it's Dwayne Johnson.
It's The Rock.
Yeah. He'll always be The Rock.
And it's The Race to Witch Mountain from 2009.
150 miles outside of Las Vegas, there is a place where unexplained phenomena occur.
Awesome.
It is known as Witch Mountain.
Isn't it just Race to Witch Mountain?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, not The Race, just Race.
Yeah, Race to Witch Mountain.
Wasn't really much of a race, though.
They were racing themselves. And they were racing. They were trying to get there as fast as they could. So what'd you think about this, Kelly?
I'm having a little bit of a hard time with this one because I really want to hate it because it's The Rock, and the last thing we saw him in was Game Plan, which is awful. And it
was also about the same as this, though. You wanted to hate it, but you couldn't totally hate it.
I didn't totally hate it. And I think I have a soft spot in my heart for those, like, government, NASA, like, oh, we're gonna get you, 90s sci-fi type government movie. I don't know. I didn't hate it. And I really wanted to, but I also didn't really like it that much. It was just...
Well, it was super bland.
Yeah, and like there was...
And safe, and kind of, there's nothing a lot to it.
It kind of felt like a TV movie.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Or just like so overplanned and overproduced that it was just, nothingness.
But like I wasn't bored during the movie at any point. I was
bored for a while.
No, I wasn't really bored. I was just...
Especially the first half was really pretty boring. There were multiple car chases in this movie. Multiple.
I actually don't mind a good car chase.
I don't mind a good car chase either. But when there's 3 in the first 45 minutes...
It's an action movie.
But did it need to be? Is that what we're looking for with the Witch Mountain series?
I don't think that's what we're looking for in Witch Mountain, but I mean, I will say, though, that The Rock is definitely better as an action star than when he's actually trying to act. He tried to do in the Game Plan when he was trying to act.
I don't know about that. I feel like he did as good in this as he did in the Game Plan, because this was right before he really started to become a real actor. Yeah.
No, this was...
he's still definitely The Rock in this movie. He's not Dwayne Johnson. He is still The Rock. And his arms are still only about half the size they are now.
Which is ridiculous because they're super big in this movie.
Yeah.
This came out in 2009.
Yep.
So
3 years after the Game Plan.
So were you expecting The Rock in it, or were you...
No.
Yeah, I knew The Rock was in it because I'd seen the trailers, and that's why it was really hard not to be, oh yeah, The Rock's in it, because, yeah, last week I had seen the trailers, I knew The Rock was in it, and that was about all I knew.
Alright, so read the synopsis.
Oh, okay. Boo, 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 boo. Race to Witch Mountain. Action adventure, science fiction, thriller, family. Thriller? Really?
Yeah.
Dwayne Johnson stars as Jack Bruno, a Las Vegas cab driver struggling to stay on the right path. He gets an out-of-this-world incentive when 2 aliens disguised as teenagers suddenly appear in his taxi. In a race against government agents, an alien hunter, and time itself, Jack must help the children recover their lost spaceship so they can return home to save their planet. And ours.
Yeah, that's what happened.
You are in way over your head.
There were so many holes with this movie.
What kind of holes?
Well, like the alien hunter in general.
Oh, yeah. Like
it was just super powerful, but yet super inept at the same time.
Conveniently inept at exactly the right moments.
Yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense, and then totally vulnerable at the right moments.
Disney magic.
Yeah, I guess.
Or my favorite, the fact that I'll save it. We'll get into it when we get there, but just there was definitely a lot of conveniences in this movie. That's for sure.
Yeah, this might have been one of the most convenient movies I've ever seen.
It was just, yeah. But our director Andy Fickman also directed the game plan.
Right, and as well as Paul Blart 2.
Which we talked about with the game plan. But I mean, let's not forget, he was a producer on Anaconda. That's really his greatest achievement.
Yeah, I guess. If that's an achievement, that is it. So...
Everybody likes Anaconda, David.
Right. For actors, everybody knows The Rock, Fast and Furious, WWF, action movies, etc., etc., etc.
And Moana.
Okay, and Moana. And then this Carla Gugino lady, who I feel like I've seen in a bunch of stuff, but I don't recognize any of her credits.
So she's been in a bunch of stuff, but she's never been a leading lady.
And I feel like she plays the exact same character in every single movie she's in. Like, I thought she was in Men in Black, but I was wrong.
No,
but she's the same as the lady in Men in Black, and she plays the same character as that lady in Men in Black.
Yeah. Yeah.
So...
She's, a smart scientist lady, but when she was a youth... She was in one of my guilty pleasure favorite movies, which any good Disney person will also appreciate, is Troop Beverly Hills, where she was one of the Girl Scouts in that movie. It's an amazing piece of cinema. She played Chica in that movie. Everyone who watched that will know.
5, 6, 7, 8. Beverly Hills, what a trip! Beverly Hills, what a trip!
When I was a youth, she was in one of the best movies of my youth. She was in Son-in-Law with Pauly Shore.
I have not seen that.
Yeah, she's the second main character in that movie. She's the chick, Rebecca, and it's amazing. And it's hilarious that that's the same lady.
Well, there you go. So our two aliens, Anna Sophia... Robb played Sarah. And we'll see her again, because she's in Bridge to Terabithia, which is also a Disney movie.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, which I've also seen.
And she was in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory remake, which I'll never see.
Yeah, as Violet.
Yeah, which is just shameful.
I mean, and she was in a bunch of those around this time, kind of, mainstream, but not super high-budget movies.
It looks like she's still acting, but just in a much lower level. Like, frequently acting, but just not big stuff. However, Mr. Alexander Ludwig was some famous guy in the Hunger Games.
Yeah, he's Kato.
Everybody who knows it knows it, I guess.
I mean, I know the Hunger Games, and immediately I was like, oh my god, it's that guy!
And then apparently he kept his career going being in the Vikings from the History Channel.
So everybody really likes that show. Yeah, I've never seen it, but he's been in Vikings, yeah. And...
The History Channel is for QAnon people. Yeah, so clearly he's a big actor, even though in this movie he is a flaming garbage barge.
But, I mean, even when we watched Return to Witch Mountain, I mean, the chick was way better than the dude, so...
Yeah, but in this movie, they're about equal.
Yeah. And...
Then we get Karen Hines, who is a great villain.
Yeah, I mean, he just plays the typical...
But he did a really good job of it.
I'm a government guy, and I'm gonna get you.
And his big claim to fame is he was Mance Rayder in Game of Thrones.
Oh my god! So I didn't even... Oh my god, that's why he looks so familiar. Okay, that's amazing. I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah, which is awesome, and he was really good at it.
And we can't forget about Gary Marshall.
Oh, well, no, he was going to be my special shout-out. I was going to shout out the Tom Everett Scott guy, the second villain, who looks like Colin Hanks, who was in That Thing You Do.
Yeah, I know.
And I always think he's Colin Hanks, for one.
No, that guy...
And I didn't realize, to me, that guy's super famous. He's done basically nothing except for That Thing You Do. And this, and a couple of other nonsense movies.
No, I mean, he's in Because I Said So, which is a rom-com that I really like with Mandy Moore and Diane Keaton. And I really like that movie, but he's a he's a douchebag in that movie, so he's a douchebag always to me.
Yeah, and Gary Marshall, who I feel like his most famous role is in A League of Their Own. He's the manager guy.
Yeah, but I also think of him, he's also a director, too.
I mean, of course he's a director. I mean, him and his sister are both big, huge actor people.
Yeah.
And they're both great, but I feel like...
He's just Gary Marshall.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like if you see him on screen, the role that's best to be like, oh, that's Gary Marshall, is him in A League of Their Own. Because he's very memorable.
Yeah. Well, he's also in Never Been Kissed with Drew Barrymore, where he's her boss, like, journalist guy, and he's just kind of a crazy guy, but...
I don't do Drew Barrymore's after the year 2000.
Yeah, I got you. But, I think this actually was in the 90s, but that's okay.
Well, she wasn't naked in that one, so...
Oh my god.
Whoa!
Yeah, so he is a notable person. Other than that, there was just a bunch
It
of...
was just a bunch of garbage after that. It was very weird in that way. Except for the freaky looking guy who was Gary Marshall's, one of his freaky looking, the taller freaky looking guy. He's been in like 1 million movies, but not really
just
worth
like as a
mentioning.
character actor, just a guy, making a living, doing his thing.
Freaky looking guy, yeah.
Did you have any fun facts, David?
Yeah. The sheriff was played by Tony.
Yeah.
And then the waitress was played by Tia.
Yeah, from the original Race to Witch Mountain, which that was one of my fun facts.
That's the funnest fact.
It is actually one of the funnest facts we've had in a long time.
That might be my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah, that part is pretty good, actually.
It's pretty great.
But, yeah, no, that is a very fun fact that they brought them in. I kind of like it when Disney movies do that, where they bring somebody back from the original.
Well, and the thing is, the sheriff, I was like, who the f*** is that guy? I recognize him.
He really does look like, the Tia chick didn't look like her at all.
No, which is understandable, but he really still looked like himself, which was funny.
Yeah, no, I thought that was great, too. I had the number on Jack's Taxi is 1975, which is the year that the original came out. The only other one I had was that, I guess another, cameo is Cheech, the mechanic.
Well, yeah.
But he was nominated for an American Latino Media Arts Award.
For this?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the only nomination this movie received.
All right.
In any kind.
Way to go, Cheech.
Was his performance as the mechanic.
I mean, he's done many better things than this, but okay.
But that just tells you.
I mean, he had a great cameo. Don't get me wrong.
Nothing else in this movie was nominated. Not like...
Wait, would anything... Nothing in this movie should be nominated, including Cheech. Sorry, Cheech. Love you, but no.
Yeah. So...
Let's get into it.
Let's race to Witch Mountain.
Well, there's going to be a lot of racing. Well, and the intro to this movie is ultra long UFOs.
Dude, it's so long. Like, at first I was, this is kind of cool.
Then it keeps going.
Because I'm into that stuff. And I was...
So am I, but it keeps going.
And going.
And going.
And going. And it does go for a while. And,
then we finally cut into the military, typical alien movie intro of, we've got this on our radar on our 10-4, blah, 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 blah. Oh, it crashed in the desert, let's get there.
Oh, super serious FBI guys.
CIA, they're spooks. I will refer to them as spooks from
Where's
here on
Mulder and Scully?
Well,
Mulder and Scully on the case.
They've already been killed.
Yeah. And then we get this weird cutscene of in Las Vegas with Rock Johnson, Dwayne driving a cab.
With The Rock. Yeah, The Rock is a cabbie. The most believable cabbie of all time.
No.
A 6'5", 260-pound, muscle-bound, gigantic motherfucker.
No.
That speaks perfect English. Yeah, that's a great cabbie.
I'm pretty sure if you were in Vegas and you had a cabbie like that, you'd be like, am I drunk?
I would think that he was a government agent. Dude, are you a U.S. Marshal? Are you undercover? What's going on here?
Well, and you'd be
that's
like,
not right.
You're way too pretty to be doing this.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Like, there's a UFC fight over there. Like, go over there.
Well, he could be anything else. Yeah, but not a cabbie. But his thing is he's a driver.
Yeah, but I feel like, okay, so just a timeout for a second, and then this is the last timeout I'll do, I promise.
No, it's okay.
So usually if you're like a driver, you're very compact and small and tiny and...
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
And I feel like part of the issue with this movie is they shouldn't have picked someone who was so jacked.
Oh, absolutely not.
It's more believable to have somebody who's like...
But the movie kind of hinges on him being jacked, which is stupid.
I know, and it's kind of one of my problems with the movie.
Well, one of my problems with the movie is that it's based on The Rock and not Seth and Sarah.
Yeah. So it just, yeah, that whole cutscene was okay. Like, I don't really care about his character. And then we cut to the FBI guys looking for the crash, and they, that's pretty much it. It's just them looking for the crash, and they find it.
And then we cut back to the UFO lady in Rock's cab, Dr. Alex, and he's like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. Yeah, and we cut to him living in this motel downtown Vegas.
Yeah,
and for some reason he has a heavy bag.
Yeah, and there's...
Like, he's going to be a fighter. I was like, oh, he's going to be like a UFC fighter now.
No, and
he's just a felon.
This whole scene was supposed to make you feel sympathetic for him because it has the final notice bills, and he's living in a crappy apartment, and
he's Poe.
But you know what it was kind of... it was reminiscent of was the scene in Tron where he goes to his apartment. It's not as crappy, but you're like...
It was amazing. What are you talking about?
But that's what they were trying... It was the same...
I guess.
Concept they were trying to do.
But the kid in Tron was ultra rich and you knew it.
But they were trying to build sympathy for The Rock.
Of course, yeah. But there was no way, you can't have sympathy for The Rock. That's the whole point of The Rock, is he can't play not the best. Like, in the game plan, it made sense. He was the best.
I mean, I guess, but sure. No,
well,
I get
at least
it.
It makes sense. Yeah, I mean, The Rock he can either be the best heel or the best hero, but that's it. He can't be the middle guy. He's The Rock, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really believe that he's not paying his bills.
Right.
So it's just that whole scene was like, okay, whatever. I don't really care that much. And it wasn't really relevant to anything else in the story.
Which you thought it was going to be. At least he was going to be a UFC fighter or something, but no.
It just wasn't. I mean, maybe there should have been a bunch of like toll bills or something sitting there. I don't know.
No, I don't think. I think child support or
speeding tickets.
Oh, you know what? No. Restitution from court and jail.
Yeah, I mean,
paying people back. Yeah, like playing up the felon part would have been nice.
Yeah, and. Because it didn't really jive with the rest of the story. Just like, oh, you can't pay your bills, you have a job. Like, why can't you pay your bills? Right, and he seems
like a super responsible guy. Like, it's like,
That part didn't really track. And also didn't have any relevance to the rest of the entire story.
No, but it wasn't like he's like, I got paid. Ooh, I'm going to go pay some bills.
And we get a scene of the crash site being completely closed down.
Which is a chlorine spill.
Yeah.
Quote unquote.
Yeah. We kind of get a scene where he goes into work showing how he used to be a getaway driver. He meets up with these thugs.
Yeah, he's a criminal. He's a felon.
And they're like, he don't take no for an answer. Blah, 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 blah. And he's like, I'm done. I have a good life now.
And he kicks her ass. He does his thing.
Jack! You don't return phone calls anymore?
Mr. Wolf thinks you're being rude.
Well, tell Wolf that when I said it was the last time, I meant it.
Mr. Wolf decides when it's the last time. Not you, Jack.
He likes you, Jackie. Hates to see you wasting your God-given driving talent giving fat tourist cab rides up and down the strip. Buddy, what kind of life is that?
It's what I'm late for.
Got a death wish?
I drive a cab in Vegas.
And then the cop shows up and he drives off in his cab. And then we meet Seth and Sarah, the alien kids.
Because they're just in his car.
They're just there.
He's like, how'd you get in my car? And they're like, we went through the portal. And they're speaking in all, super proper, like...
Proper, but basically, they're like computer kids.
Yeah. And I just gotta say, I mean, I'm not a government person, so I don't know how they do this, but they track these kids in like a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
Which doesn't track with the rest of the movie, but whatever, it's fine. But they literally, it's like a matter of seconds.
Yeah, they somehow have access to every surveillance camera in town. And,
But they don't even see their faces. It's just the back of their heads. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, that must be them.
Where the CIA can track every single security cam in the whole, basically, state in an instant.
Yeah,
so they find Seth and Sarah literally instantaneously.
And I just want to say, the guy who was tracking all this instantaneously is from That Thing We Do. And then later in the movie, he's a scientist doing surgeries.
Oh, he's everything.
He's everything.
Yeah, and he has a gun. Yeah,
he's all over.
Yeah. So then we find our first chase scene of the movie. And there's this long chase scene.
See, I actually didn't mind this. I kind of liked it.
Well, it was fine.
I kind of like they're chasing him and it's all crazy, and then Jack the Rock thinks that the people he used to work for, so he's trying to outrun them, and then we get to see the first glimpse of Seth and Sarah's powers, because Seth's like, I'm gonna go through the back of the car, pew, and he goes out the back, and then he goes and stops the car, and it's
and
like,
he's
boom.
like hard as a rock.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed this whole part actually. I didn't mind it so much.
Yeah, I'm not saying that this was a bad scene necessarily. This part was actually pretty good. And as they stop, the Rock gets out and threatens the spook guys because he thinks that they're his criminal pals, and he's like, "You rah, rah, rah," and then they drive away.
Yeah, and they go up to this shack in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, this abandoned house.
And
they tip him big and tell him to go away,
which he would have just gone away.
But he decides, oh no. You overpaid me. I have to come in the house and see what you're doing.
You were a criminal before, but all of a sudden you have a heart of gold. I don't believe it.
Yeah, exactly.
And he goes in there, everything's disheveled, and it's clear somebody's watching him, but you can't really see who it is or whatever.
Right.
And they go through, they're like, oh, you have to go, Jack Bruno, you can't help us.
But yet he keeps following them.
And they go through the refrigerator down to this secret cavern, down. Before
that he goes, don't go into the pimped out fridge, Jack. But then he goes in.
Yeah, I mean, it's, what else would you do?
And it's like some kind of techno vault, a tropical jungle inside.
Yeah, and
so there's this creepy egg life form that Seth grabs something out of.
Sarah grabs something out of.
Oh, did she grab it?
Yeah, because she put the sensor on it and she grabs the thing out of it, and it's...
Oh, I thought it was him, but they both look the same, so it's hard to tell.
And it's basically whatever they're searching for. It's not explained at this point. And then all of a sudden they hear somebody, and it's the person watching them, and they explain, oh, it's the assassin. And it's the...
Right. So the robot shoots the egg. There's fire everywhere. The whole thing lights on fire. They run down this tunnel, and the alien thing shoots this big fireball at them that knocks Seth out, knocks the other two over, but the Rock puts Seth on his back, and they're running out of there.
I actually kind of liked this whole part.
Yeah, it was fine. Yeah.
Not too bad. So yeah, they make it and they're driving, but then the alien ship is chasing them and they have to escape that. And they end up going under this train tunnel. And, and the alien ship barely...
After they go off-road.
Yeah, the alien ship can't find them, but then they immediately leave. And I'm like, why wouldn't you just stay under that for a bit?
Yeah, you'd camp there basically for the nights.
He's
not coming back to research the tunnel.
Immediately they leave. And then, of course, the ship finds them again immediately. And I'm like, why did you... And that's one of the things that pissed me off the most about this movie.
Yeah.
Any normal person would literally just be like, okay, we got to chill here for a minute because...
Right.
That thing just left.
So as they're limping over the train tracks, it becomes clear that there's going to be some kind of train collision thing coming.
I mean, that's always the case with these movies.
Yeah, it was just so telegraphed. And they go over it, and then there's this cool shooting on the train bridge scene, and then they go through another tunnel.
Yep.
And the alien kids have to make the car go faster so that they can dodge the train as the train goes into the tunnel, and we think it just takes out the alien ship because it crashes into it, and there's this huge derailment that somehow the train engineer survives, which is just lame.
That would never happen.
Yeah. And they think they're free and clear. And they have some splaining to do to Rock.
Yeah, and the FBI is researching him at this point, and this and that.
They're like, oh, this guy's a felon. He's a flunky. Whatever. We're going to get him for being a felon.
Yeah, he's a felon. And so, yeah, they tell him that they're aliens, and
And she makes stuff float in front of him to make him believe her.
Yeah, and he's like, that's neat, real neat.
Right.
But their car is all messed up, so they go to this little town and they go into the mechanic shop.
Yeah, somehow they drive straight into the mechanic shop in the middle of the night.
Yeah, and the mechanic's just still sitting there and
sleeping.
Yeah, and of course Sarah can read minds, so she's like, "Oh, he needs a large sum of money." Like, "Ooh, you didn't have to be a mind reader to say that." Ooh, Sarah, you're so swift.
So after they pay Cheech off, they go to the bar, and the waitress is like, "Oh, these kids are a little dirty and filthy. Maybe we're gonna go get 2 kids cleaned up."
Yeah, and I just feel like they missed a lot of opportunities in this movie with the kids being aliens and like funny things that could have happened with them being aliens.
So we all remember Escape to Witch Mountain.
Yeah.
Could any of these scenes been lighthearted and funny? It really dragged on me that none of the... And so I think that this is the problem with modern live-action Disney movies, is there's no lighthearted funniness to them.
Well, there's no wackiness.
Well, or wackiness at all. There's none of it.
There's no Mr. Yamamoto in this. So
I mean, yeah, think of Mr. Yamamoto. Think of the earthquakes.
Yeah.
Like, there was none of that funny stuff at all.
Just like when they're in the restaurant, there could have been funny things where they get the food and like they don't know what to do with the silverware. I don't know. I'm not a movie person. Something. Just it could. And I guess,
I've got ideas. I'll be your movie person, but whatever.
But I mean, I guess that they were going for more of just the strict action movie, but
it just didn't help it. That's not what a Witch Mountain movie is. A Witch Mountain movie is not supposed to be just a action movie.
A Witch Mountain movie, you got to be levitating gold bricks and shooting them at people. I mean, it's just
it's got to have some levity. It's got to have some fun.
And there was no red power suit, so it's over. It's over at that point for me.
It shouldn't be. Well, honestly, it shouldn't be about The Rock, but whatever.
I mean, come on, Sarah, get it together.
Yeah.
So when they're in the bar, then he gets a call from the FBI agent. He's like, blah, 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 we got you surrounded. Ha, 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 I'm a bad guy. And so then he goes back and he gets actually what is kind of a smart idea and, talks to the local cop and he's like, hey, what's your policy on concealed carry? Like to get him suspicious about people coming into the bar so they can escape.
So we get this excellent government versus redneck standoff in the bar.
Yeah, and I will say that the local sheriff, or what's the guy's name that plays him?
Tony
looks kind of like Mr. Leahy from Trailer Park Boys.
He does a little bit, and he's just a bad in this whole scene. Yeah, and then the waitress comes and helps Rock and kids escape.
Yeah, but yet they don't steal the car that's sitting right there outside. They go back into their same cab car.
It's a bit weak, and also we have the dog scene where Sarah calms down the dog.
Yeah, and she gets him to come in the car because she's like, "Oh my god, I love this dog."
She talks to dogs. Of course she does.
But before that, as they're running away in the half-fixed cab, Sarah is blowing up a whole bunch of spook vehicles with her powers as they're running away. She just keeps blowing them up.
Yeah.
As they're driving by, which is rad. That's one of the best scenes of her doing something.
Yeah. Well, and she did a lot of stuff. Whereas,
that's what I mean,
dude did pretty much nothing.
Yeah.
He did something at the beginning, but...
Yeah, pretty much. And
which is more than Tony did in Escape to Witch Mountain, but, he was also under mind control, so,
Yeah.
But,
see, we still haven't seen the original, so we don't know.
Yeah, I know. So then The Rock,
no, The Rock. You just call him The Rock throughout the movie.
The Rock takes them to see the doctor from the beginning because, she's a UFO person. She must know things.
Well, the only reason he does that is because Sarah reads his mind and tells him kind of to do that.
Yeah.
Who's Alex Friedman.
Yeah, and
then there's a scene where he's not interested in a conversation with the dog and the dog has to go pee.
Oh, okay.
One of the only funny scenes of the movie.
Yeah, no, that part was funny because she's like, oh, he really needs to go. And then when they get back in the car and she's like, he wants a big meaty treat.
Yeah.
And yeah, that part was kind of cute.
Yeah.
But then I just want to say, they found these kids without seeing their faces in like 2 seconds, but they couldn't find this cab car.
Right.
In enough time for them to get all the way back to Planet Hollywood in Vegas.
Right.
Like,
I mean, they could have had
come on.
a satellite find that car.
I just don't buy it. They found those kids in literally 2 seconds without seeing their faces or anything.
You can't find a yellow cab in the middle of the desert?
Like in the area you just were. Like,
yeah.
I just don't buy it. It just did that part really bothered me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
And
so we cut to Alex and her chaotic conference where everybody leaves because she has science facts for them instead of science fiction, and they're all pissed and they leave.
Yeah, and so they're trying to tell her that they're actually aliens and blah, blah, blah.
Right, and so as soon as she's confronted with actual facts, she wants to leave.
You're telling me you think those two kids were extraterrestrials searching for their missing spaceship?
Oh, they can also do all this stuff, too.
Like, oh, that's our ship. Oh, what? No, I'm out of here.
And then they're like, look at our magic space projection.
Our little simulator thing.
Because that apparently makes you believe.
And then she's, oh, I'm all in.
Yeah, and
then they do this whole climate change trope about occupying Earth, and they have to save Earth. And,
oh, yeah, because it's basically like their home planet needs a new planet, and they're trying to find the scientific way to save their planet versus, the invasion by their own government. And it's a lot of exposition in this part. It's the
whole climate change trope. And like, this is well played out in many other movies.
So Sarah has to take them to go see Harlan, this other competing scientist, but he's not really a scientist.
He's like a wackadoodle science fiction author.
Yeah, and so she, there's a funny scene of her confronting his little goons, and they, take her in there, and it's Gary Marshall.
Yeah, and he's super wacky. He lets them know that they took the ship to the Witch Mountain, which is a top secret place. Oh, by the way, here are the maps to this place.
Yeah, I just have all of it, just hanging out.
That's actually not as unrealistic as you might think.
Correct, sir.
And then The Rock is, Alex, you can't go. She's, no, too bad. And then Sarah basically says that, it's clear that Alex and The Rock want to...
Yeah, because she's like, oh, she's thinking about you. She says you're handsome. And he's like, oh.
well, the other thing he says is like, oh, she's thinking about you as much as you're thinking about her.
And then they, wander off to this show, and then
he's, oh, let's go. But then they get separated, and so they wander off upstairs to the show, and he gets caught by his goons and gets... But it almost doesn't even matter, because he just beats the shit out of them and then goes back up to the kids.
So I feel like the whole goon, him being a driver thing, literally the only point of that was to justify him being able to maneuver against these FBI people in a cab car.
Right.
And him to be, oh, I'm a bad guy, but I'm not really a bad guy.
I'm a bad guy with a heart of gold.
Yeah, it just didn't track very well.
Yeah,
it was just stupid.
They really needed to chop that whole part out of this movie.
Yeah, they could have just done that completely differently.
Because him just being a regular guy, like a Joe Hump, would have, although they would have needed to cast
just
somebody
like a regular
The
taxi driver being like, oh my god, this is crazy, what's happening?
Yeah, they should have cast like,
what's the guy? He's a comedian.
I'm thinking of is Kevin something.
No. He's a comedian. He's Indian. And he's always plays little bit parts in all these movies. And his wife they had the movie that we still haven't watched about him and his wife. Yeah.
Not Kumail Nanjiani.
Yeah. They need that kind of guy. No, that's what I want.
Although that would have been the racist perfect part for this. I do agree with that.
No, that would have been just like a regular dude.
No, because he's Pakistani cab driver. That would have been...
Oh, that's not, but I just literally, that would have been, he's just the most regular dude, and he's funny, and that's what this movie is missing, is funny.
Oh, God, what is the guy's name I'm thinking of?
Kevin Hart?
No, he's white.
Oh,
shit.
Kevin.
He's in Grumpy Old Men.
Kevin Federline.
It's all right. It doesn't matter.
Okay. But they just...
Well, no. I better look because it's going to drive me insane.
Okay.
And people are going to be like, well, what is he talking about?
They're like, Kevin, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
like,
no, I'm sure people know exactly who I'm talking about. I just can't remember. Kevin Pollak.
Wait, let me see his picture. And then I'll know who he is. I'll just need to see a picture. Oh, yeah, that guy's great.
Yeah.
No, but he's not really, like, leading man material.
But see, that's the thing, is that I think the kid should lead. And then that guy is the second
he's
guy
just in the
who's
background,
super strong.
like, whoa!
Yeah, he's the cab driver who's just like, whoa, what? Because the kids should be the ones kicking and doing all the cool stuff.
Yeah, and then he says some stupid stuff like, I haven't had this crazy of a drive since the porn star convention last year, or something stupid like that. Like, I don't know.
I mean, the redoing of this movie is taking The Rock and elevating him to the side character and elevating the kids as the main character.
Yeah.
As it should be.
Yeah. Basically what happens is the assassin,
he screws up.
He shows up and then they get away and, you know.
Oh, wait. So at this point, the spooks enter the building and so does the alien guy. The alien guy shoots up on the stage and the spooks kind of do some things and everybody's like, best convention ever.
Oh, yeah. And so they're hiding and then...
And so that's my problem, is like the alien would have shot half of the crowd and half of the spooks.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
Yeah, he would have just been indiscriminately killing to get to these two. But that somehow doesn't happen in public. Whatever.
No. So they're hiding behind these slot machines and they get caught, in between all these officers. And then all of a sudden, Sarah just makes all of the slot machines just like...
win all at the same time. Jackpot all at the same time.
Pretty smart.
It is the most genius part of this movie.
Well, actually, but it was The Rock's idea because he's like, are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Right,
with your telekinesis, I'm smart. And
so they run off into the cab without Alex, but they're not
in the
another
cab.
chase scene. They're not in the cab. In the cab was Harlan and his cronies.
But you never actually saw them get in the cab. And
no,
so
you didn't.
So that's why at first I was like, wait, what?
They're all in the cab again?
I was just confused for like 3 seconds. And I'm like, they're not in the cab.
I wrote it down. I was like, oh, whoops, nope. They all escape in Harlan's Winnebago and they're driving it to Witch Mountain.
Yeah, so they weren't in the cab. Ha ha ha, it's Gary Marshall. Big joke.
Which is a good scene. I mean, because Gary Marshall's funny. So they arrive at Witch Mountain with no interference. They have to hike in 5 miles against and they just find all this ultra militarized entrance, which is just ludicrous.
Yeah, and
no ultra secret, top secret place is going to be buzzing with tanks and troops like that. It's not how it's going to look.
Yeah, and so they're trying to approach, but then the kids get darted with,
tranquilizer darts?
Yeah, tranquilizer darts, and all the FBI agents show up, and they're like, ugh, and The Rock's like, oh, it's fine, I give up. And Sarah's like, or not Sarah, the doctor, or whatever her name is.
Alex
is like, what? Fuck you. And they go, and they get in the car, and they're pretending.
Well, wait, but before this... They let The Rock get away with beating the out of a couple of the feds.
Yeah, for nothing.
Yeah, which at this point, like, they would have just shot him right there for beating the crap out of him, but whatever.
They would have killed both of them.
Yeah.
Anyway. Like, and the guy's, there's too much paperwork to kill you.
Right. I can detain these kids indefinitely under the Patriot Act.
Yeah, so they're going down the road with the guys.
But Bruno's like, I can't go back to jail, man. Because they're talking about that. But then somehow, Bruno and Alex, they have like this ESP of like, oh, we're going to take over this truck. And they beat the crap out of the people driving the truck. And somehow it doesn't crash off the mountain.
Nope. Alex
is able to immediately just jump into the driver's seat and start driving.
Yep.
It's just, this whole part is ludicrous.
What I thought they were going to do at this point was, like, put on the outfits.
Right. That would make sense.
Which would have made more sense of putting on the outfits of the people they took over the truck of.
But no, they just threw them out of the car.
And then they just decide to go through some secret tunnel.
And sneak, like...
And it's like a tunnel with a huge empty drop. And it's going to be fine. And she's freaking out. I would have been like, yeah, no, this tunnel. I'm not doing this. I don't care how much I love aliens. No, not doing this. I would never do that. No.
Right. So, and then we skipped over the scene where he's like, "Oh, conduct the experiments on the kids now. I don't care."
Yeah, and the guy who found them on the computer system instantaneously, that same guy from That Thing You Do.
Yeah, he's performing surgery along with the scared guy who we never mentioned, but the scared guy was his partner throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, we're gonna do these experiments." Like, that's not how that works. You would have had actual scientists, and that little part is what cheapened this whole thing. Like, it just made it.
Oh, please! There was plenty more that cheapened.
No, I know, but it's like stuff like that. The people, I'm just like, you could have had a random person doing that.
So then we get the spook guy doing a victory lap on the phone with Washington, who's supposed to be the president.
Whatever that means.
So it's just whatever. It's clear you're about to screw the whole thing up. So there's like this security breach, a big red alert, because Siphon has entered the building and is just killing everybody. Yeah.
The assassin.
Assassin.
We've only called him the assassin up to this point.
I think I said Siphon, but okay.
But, so they're just,
So then somehow The Rock and Alex sneak into the surgery center in a suit.
Yeah, they would not be able to run around like that with that many people.
Right, and he beats the crap out of That Thing You Do guy and the scared guy. And they hook the kids back up to oxygen, get them awake, and take off.
Yeah, I want to point out, through this whole thing, That Thing You Do guy, who was in the doctor gear, is all of a sudden right by the main,
there are some incongruous points of this.
What?
I think that guy just got it in his contract that he's on screen a lot.
So it didn't really make sense. They get the kids out, but then I'm like, okay, that handheld thing that they reached into the gooey plant thing for earlier, there was never anything about them getting that back.
Yeah.
Because that was in a separate area.
Right. But somehow they just had it back. Let's see.
Oh, they go to their ship, and there's a whole sequence where they're like, oh, what are we going to do? And Lady Doctor's like, oh, I got this. And she puts on the white lab coat, and she goes down there and pretends to be in charge. And they're all like, oh, okay, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And so then they get, they're going to go on the ship.
And then the feds catch them, but Seth is able to make everybody bulletproof by holding their hand.
That's not how science works.
Well, this isn't science. This is science fiction.
Yeah, I know.
So everybody gets shot 1,000,000 times with bullets.
They evacuate.
The Siphon comes in.
Yeah. And
it starts blowing up more of the spooks. And they take off. And they somehow end up also running over the Siphon.
But he grabs onto the planes.
Right. And they barely squeak out of the closing doors. Then there's a big battle in the UFO between the Siphon and the Rock. The Rock rips off his helmet. And Seth comes to help him. And does some stuff.
And then at the very end, the Rock just punches him in the face, which makes him fall down.
Yeah, and he falls through the exhaust of the UFO. Yeah. And they save the day. So then Sarah and Seth drop the Rock and Alex back off on Earth.
Yep. And right by their RV.
Right by the RV.
Because, they crashed completely, out of control the first time, but this time...
Oh, now he's got it.
This time, they're like, okay, we can just lay it down softly right by your...
Right, exactly where we want to go.
When we're under pressure. But, the first time when we were just coming here undetected, we have to crash.
It was a little weird, yeah.
And they're, they have their big goodbye scene, and...
You guys remember that? Me and Alex, we're only a wormhole away. Okay.
want you to promise me something. Take care of Junkyard for me.
Anything you want.
I love you, man. And I'm so crying. It's like, oh my God.
And Sarah's like, take care of the dog for me. Even though I could just take him to my planet, but I'm not going to.
Right. And then we get the little tiny scene of Douchel in trouble with Washington, which is a nice little wrap on his character. And then, for some reason, Seth and Sarah give The Rock and Alex their tracker, which makes no sense. Why would you give them that?
Well, it's their tracker. It's not the other thing about the saving the planet.
I know, but that's like high tech. You don't want to give that up to them.
Well, but they're like, oh, we're going to find you again. And then in the credits, there's a whole joke about their tracker beeps off and they're like, oh my God, it's them.
So those two couldn't figure out where on Earth those other two were? Give me a break.
It's magic.
Yeah, it's magic.
And that's the end of the movie.
That's it. Yeah.
That's the end.
So what was your favorite part, Kelly?
I mean, this whole movie kind of honestly melded together like mashed potatoes, but I guess if I had to pick one thing, I did like the bar scene, but I'm going to go with, I actually like where they went under the shack into the jungle area and they pulled out the little thing and then the siphon assassin came. It was very like Jurassic Park Raptor-esque. Like, oh my God, he's gonna get us.
Yeah, that's
like,
not bad. That's not bad.
And then that combined with the subsequent chase scene of them hiding from the thing, and like I
actually kind of hated the inches from being caught thing. That's too much of a trope.
But that's that whole scene really just them going under the shack and finding the jungle area and then getting the thing. I enjoyed that.
It makes sense.
I enjoyed that whole part.
To me, I really liked the sheriff waitress dog scene. Of course.
With that part was pretty good.
The bar scene. My runner-up is Sarah blowing up all the cop cars.
But that's in the same scene almost.
I know. But that was the best part of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, really.
And then the Gary Marshall parts.
Yeah, because he's just kind of a scene stealer.
Yeah.
He's definitely a scene stealer for sure. There was no music.
No, none at all.
There was about a 15-second clip of a Miley Cyrus song.
No, I wouldn't have even noticed.
No. I only knew it because it was in the subtitles.
Oh.
Because it was when The Rock was driving his cab at the very, very beginning.
Oh.
Was Miley Cyrus's Fly on the Wall, and that I only knew it because of the subtitles. It was like 15 seconds.
Oh.
But other than that, there was no music.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So the main character, The Rock, the hardened felon criminal with a heart of gold who's super buff.
I mean, he's a dude. It could have been anyone, but it's also like...
It should have been anybody else.
It should have been more of the everyman, regular dude.
He should have been the side character. The main character should have been Seth and Sarah, who are basically chicken fried steak and mashed potatoes.
I mean, they really should have been there, like... The opening scene, instead of The Rock driving the cab, should have been them in their spaceship,
right.
Like, oh my God, we're gonna crash there, right? Hey. And she's like, you, Seth, learn how to drive.
And where's the uncle?
Yeah, I mean, but it's...
Yeah, but it made no sense. And then Burke, the spook, was a really good villain, which helped this movie a lot that he was as good as he was.
Yeah, I mean, he's your typical government baddie villain. Like, right. It's fine.
With an assist from Matheson and Pope, that thing you do guy and the scared guy.
Yeah, and
they were an effective villainous crew.
Yeah, I mean, he's a tech sci-fi person. Like, he's a tech IT person. He's a surgeon. And then he's like a militia. Like, I'm gonna frickin' be by your side, sir. He's everywhere.
Yeah, he's all over the place.
He's doing that thing he does.
And then really the only side character is Alex.
Yeah, well, Sarah and Seth.
I consider them main characters.
Oh, okay.
The movie doesn't really go without them.
Yeah, no, I mean, and Alex, I mean,
she's the only notable side character. Okay, she's a doctor. She's UFO serious. She's really kind of almost nothing. But
yeah, I mean, I enjoyed her character just fine, but it's.
And then other than that, there's really not anything else in this movie.
This movie is purely an action movie at its core.
It's a rock action movie.
It's a rock action sci-fi movie. It's not about the characters in any way.
Right.
Like, the characters are not important.
So that's going to bleed into our cinematography.
Not important.
Not important except for a ton of explosions.
Oh, yeah.
Like 150,000 explosions, which were all fine. So what was your biggest surprise or disappointment with this movie, Kelly?
This movie reminded me that I am disappointed that they don't have as many movies now that are in like a NASA government, like, oh my god, we gotta save the blah blah blah, oh my god, and they have the rows of dudes and chicks just, blah 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 blah. Like in the 90s they had
Kelly needs more command centric movies.
I feel like in the 90s there were so many of these.
There were hundreds of them, yeah.
I kind of love it.
Well, yeah, they're great movies. I mean,
they're like, oh my god, call the president. Blah, 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 blah. Are you going to push the button? Blah, 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 blah. Like, I think my disappointment is that they don't make more movies with that.
Fair enough.
I think that part of the reason I don't absolutely hate this movie is
because of that.
I like that kind of stuff of like the government's trying to get you and oh my god, blah, blah, blah. And they don't really make those movies anymore. So I'm disappointed they don't make those movies anymore.
So I'm also disappointed. Why do Sarah and Seth have to suck so much? Why can't they be main characters? And why is there so much action? I don't need action in a Witch Mountain movie.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't like their powers are cool. They could have done.
But they're the same powers. It wasn't focused on them at all. I need the movie to be focused on the Witch Mountain kids.
Yeah.
Give me a break. The Rock can eat a dick.
Yeah, and that was really, I think, the biggest problem with this movie is it should have been more of an everyday man and less of The Rock. Like, it just was...
And more of the kids. Just more superpowers, more cool stuff. Whatever. Do you got any quotable lines?
I mean, the only one I have is when she was making all the stuff levitate, and he says, that's neat. Real neat.
It's neat. Real neat.
I don't know why that stuck out to me.
So, I also have an equally lame line that sticks out to me. He said he would love a bone. Or a meaty treat.
Yeah, about the dog.
Because the way she said it was really weird and really funny.
Well, because she's like, or a meaty treat.
Yeah, a meaty treat.
Like she doesn't know what it is.
Yeah, she didn't know what a bone or a meaty treat was.
They should have had more of that. Of them being foreign to the planet.
But there was nothing, there was so few, that was one of the few lighthearted, funny moments.
Okay. You know what they could have had? Like, they could have been walking down the Vegas Strip. And you know those guys who are handing out all the frickin' porn star, the frickin' like prostitute cards, they could have been like, they say there's a woman, like, you know, they could have picked...
Not in a Disney movie.
But like, that would have been funny.
But they could have done other Vegas tropes that would have been funny. You're not wrong.
Like, that could have been a whole thing. And the movie was definitely way focused on the action.
Right.
And they really could have brought in some of that funny, like, fish out of water, like, oh my god, we're from space, and oh my god.
Right. I mean, because the whole beginning of the movie should have been about them doing that kind of stuff, and no Rock, and introducing him later instead of the other way around.
Yeah, like, they get in the cab and they're like, we want to go see...
No cab. Them going into Vegas and then later getting in the cab.
Or maybe he's, like, an MMA fighter, like you say, and they somehow, like... I don't know.
But less Rock, more kids.
Yeah.
So if you remade the movie, what would you do?
I mean, I would just make it, other than the stuff we already talked about, but maybe more of an actual race to the Witch Mountain. Because it was really not really a race.
Kelly's got Herbie nostalgia.
I don't know. Like, I don't know. Maybe more of the stuff we already talked about. Like, the more of them being aliens in Vegas. Like, that would have actually been a good kind of trope, like, funny thing. And they didn't. They just kind of... It was like a missed opportunity with that.
Yeah. I would just burn the whole thing and start over again. Because it's not good.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. So do you have any final thoughts?
I mean, so I didn't hate it. It's just a movie. Like, there's things that obviously would have changed about it, but it's just a movie. It's fine. Like, it wasn't painful. It could have been a lot worse. They could have had Tim Allen in this. You know?
This movie actually would have been better off with Tim Allen.
I was just thinking that.
I think this is a great movie for stupid kids. Like, if you have a stupid kid, this is a fantastic movie for them. I really think a stupid kid could really get down with this movie.
I just think if you really like The Rock, you'll probably like this movie, but it's just...
Really, though? This is before The Rock could act, so maybe you want to wait.
But it's a movie. It's whatever. There's a reason it wasn't super famous.
There's a reason it wasn't super famous.
Yeah. That's my take.
Kelly has hot takes.
Do you have any final thoughts, David?
Yeah, I said that it's a good movie for stupid kids.
Gotcha.
Oh, wait.
The budget.
So, this thing cost $65 million. This movie cost $65 million to make.
Just think about that for a second. Whoever paid $65 million to make this movie.
Yeah, it was all in explosions.
And it made $106 million.
Yeah, so this was a dismal failure.
I think they were hoping it was going to be successful so they could make a sequel.
Of course they were. But this was garbage. Hot garbage.
Yeah. You just got too excited.
So, Kelly, if you're to give this movie a rating, what would you give it?
So, I gave this movie... This is going to be a first for At the Disney Movies. I gave it a 44.5%.
Okay, that's going to be real easy for everything going forward.
No, you got to differentiate between some of these other movies. 44.5.
45%.
44.5%.
No, you said 44.45. Okay.
No, 44.5.
Yeah, it's close enough either way. I gave this movie a 47%.
Okay, so relatively close. But you liked it more than me.
Maybe not. What do you think the Rotten Tomatoes score?
It can't be. So with the critics, it's got to be like I'm going to guess because the critics are never too low, I'm going to guess a 57%.
So this movie gets a 42 with the critics and a 44 with the people.
So we
right
all
on. Hate it. Yeah,
we're right on.
Nobody likes this movie.
But we're literally right. I am literally right with the people with my 44.5.
You're a little above them. Kelly's floating above the people. I was just being a little generous, actually. So, whatever. Irrelevant, basically. So now, it's time for Kelly's favorite part of the podcast.
Ooh! Okay.
Oh, that's your least. That's your least reactionary bit.
What? That was like a gorilla. Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh my god, I'm so scared.
You should be.
You know what? I always should be because
should be.
Yeah.
So this time we get number 309.
Stop laughing, David. 309?
Yeah. And this one was 315 that we just watched.
Oh, okay. So it's not that far before that. What are you laughing at? Dave is laughing maniacally, and
It's funny. It's funny.
Okay, I don't like it.
Got any guesses?
Okay, 300. So this is like literally 5 movies before this.
Yeah.
And this came out in 2009, so this is probably 2007, 2008. What is it, like Herbie Fully Loaded?
No, this is from 2008. It's Beverly Hills Chihuahua.
Oh my god. Are you sure that's a Disney movie?
No, I'm not sure at all.
Oh.
But it is right after Tinkerbell.
Hold on. Just a minute. I just need to be sure.
Kelly has to Google a spoiler. Touchstone Pictures presents Beverly Hills Chihuahua. 21st Century Fox. Beverly Hills Chihuahua.
No, it's a Walt Disney Pictures movie. Beverly Hills Chihuahua.
So, our dogs are going to have to be locked away for this movie.
Yeah, because we have Chihuahuas, in case anybody didn't know. Well, they're half Chihuahua, half Italian Greyhound.
But they like to bark, either way.
But I just want to say, I do know this movie was part of the reason so many people got Chihuahuas as pets. And then they got rid of their Chihuahuas because they couldn't handle it. Because Chihuahuas take a lot of effort to train.
Oh, is that why I got my doggies 3 or 4 years later? Yeah.
So, I mean, I would imagine this movie is a Chihuahua going to Beverly Hills and he's like, oh my god, I'm a street Chihuahua. And there's like a fancy Chihuahua and she's like, oh, I'm fancy. And
I thought it was about the lady who adopted the Chihuahuas.
I don't know.
I don't know
I just make it up.
Make it up as I go along, but yeah, fair enough. So our next movie for next week is going to be better.
So you think it's about a lady adopting Chihuahuas?
I think it's about a lady who adopts a Chihuahua.
So do you think
in Beverly Hills, and she like carries it in her purse?
So
just based on the year, because that was like peak Paris Hilton with a Chihuahua in her purse year.
So should we take what do you think the odds that there'll be a makeover scene in this movie are?
Ooh, I'm gonna say
a makeover Chihuahua scene.
It's got to be like 6-1.
Yeah, I mean that seems like that would be something that happened, right?
Yeah, I mean it basically has to happen.
They're like, oh my god,
so that's not even 6-1. That's like 1.5 to 1. Like the odds that there's no makeover scene is basically 0.
And then he's like, oh my god, look at that female.
Oh yeah, there definitely has to be stereotypical Mexican.
Yeah.
Yeah, that has to be a part of this.
What, like the Yokiro Taco Bell Chihuahua?
And one of them has to be Cheech at some point. I guarantee Cheech makes an appearance in this movie, either as a person or a voice.
Yeah. So next week we will watch Beverly Hills Chihuahua.
Without our Chihuahua.
This is one of those movies, I remember seeing advertisements, but I remember nothing about the advertisement.
Yeah, same. Because I could have confused this with, what's the one with Reese Witherspoon that I really like?
Legally Blonde?
Yeah, which is amazing. But this is not that.
Bruiser. But it's like one of those movies that I'm like, oh my god, I would never watch that. But now I have to watch it.
Right.
So
now you have Chihuahuas. Oh my god.
My life is going to be so much more fulfilled with Beverly Hills Chihuahua right here in Seattle Hills Chihuahuas.
All right. So if you'd like to follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram is where you do that, at the Disney Movies with the Hearts. If you'd like to send us an email, at thedisneymovies@gmail.com.
Like, subscribe, share. Please leave us a great review. We really enjoy that. That would be awesome.
Yeah, it's great. But really, just listen to the show. That's what we like the most.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's groovy.
It's awesome. So in the meantime, this has been At the Disney Movies with the Hearts.
I'm Kelly.
I'm David. Bye! Bow, bow.
Is that better?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Bow, bow. Chicka, chicka. Bow, bow.
We are not reviewing Napoleon, Samantha. That was last time.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Wasn't that last time, Napoleon and Samantha?
I feel like there was one in between that and that. The next day. Some modern movie called...
Oh, Tangled. That's right.
Yeah, Tangled.
Tangled.
No new movies yet?
What?
No new movies on the list?
Actually, that might not be true. Let me just... Give me 1 second.
I don't think so. Well, we won't even count them yet.
Oh, that Cruella movie came out. So yeah, there's one more.
That's a real Disney movie?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's fine. It doesn't matter. It's not going to come up. I just need to expand the search abilities. Honk.
Brr. Brr.
Brr.
Me, 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 me.
Woo!
Santa feels a little buzz. Okay.
Okay,